Well, the goal of this Republican National Convention is to rally support all around the candidate Donald Trump. But last night became somewhat of a test of that. Our Wing 2's political expert, Dr. Bart Rossi, here in the studio to break down what we've got going into the final day of the RNC. Glad you're with us again. Let's first talk about the vice presidential nominee, Mike Pence. It was his night at the podium. Should have been his night at the podium.
Well, it should have been. And actually, I thought he was really quite great. He did a really good job looking strong, forceful, focused, Christian, conservative, Republican, like a traditional Republican. I thought he did very well. And compared to Christie the night before, I thought he stepped up. He looked just as dynamic as Christie. I give him very high marks for presenting himself. He looked comfortable being himself. And he did something that Christie probably couldn't do. He played the religious card fairly. He looked like a very solid, religious Christian guy.
So he did himself some favors.
Oh, I thought he looked very good, yeah.
Now, when I say it should have been his night, because really the headlines today are being stolen by Senator Ted Cruz, who gave his speech at the convention. He was invited by Donald Trump to do so. Before we talk about it, let's listen just a little bit about what the senator said.
Vote your conscience, vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
Not necessarily a lot of cheers there for the senator, some boos coming from the crowd. He mentioned Trump's name once and did not endorse him. Is this a big deal, or is this a whole lot about nothing?
This is a big deal. This is really a big deal. I thought he was very underhanded, deceitful, and manipulative. I mean, this is a guy that got primetime TV from the Trump people. The Trump folks are trying to do a really good job for unity. And here he comes along, and it's all about Ted Cruz. It's always all about Ted Cruz. I mean, he is more than disliked. He is despised within the Republican Party now. And the words I'm using, I'm sure there are a lot of other words being used by the Republicans today that we couldn't say here on TV. He is just so manipulative and so much into himself, so egotistical and narcissistic in his approach to politics, and it came out last night.
Well, interesting. So you don't think this did him any favors whatsoever, as only probably hurt him?
Yeah, I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, if the Republicans don't like him, and certainly independents and Democrats have issues with Ted Cruz, I don't know what he achieves with this, unless he's thinking maybe of an independent run. But he doesn't really want to play ball with the team. He's thinking about 2020. And he's basically saying that Trump's not going to win. He doesn't believe he can win at all. That's what he's saying.
Interesting. Our governor was also at the convention. Governor Rick Scott, one of several from Florida, to speak. So let's listen to what the governor had to say. His message was about terrorism.
How many more times does the evil of radical Islamic terrorism have to occur before the President of the United States will muster the courage to face the truth? How many more Orlandos, San Bernardinos, or Fort Hoods will happen until President Obama decides to be honest?
So what is your take about Governor Scott there and his emphasis against the president?
Well, this whole thing about terror, we touched on this yesterday. I think the Republicans and the Democrats need to get a handle on this. It's not just about how tough you can talk and about killing all of the ISIS soldiers. You could kill them all tomorrow. But it's the ideology. And what is actually Scott saying about what he would do or what we should do? It's nice to talk tough, but I think both sides of the aisle need to come to terms with what are we actually going to do here with this ideology?
Still waiting for specifics. Dr. Rossi, thanks for coming in. Wing News will be right back.